I keep talking about how unaffordable real estate is, but for just a moment, let's switch gears and let's talk about our problem with the deficit. Well, it looks like we've hit a new record of national debt. Once again, this isn't good stuff, guys. When we hit new records of national spending, that's all that it is the difference between the income coming into the US government and the spending. But when we keep passing bills to help other countries and we keep passing bills to help all the illegal immigrants and everything else that we're doing to fund everyone else's problems, we get a large deficit, and that's where we are right now. Our deficit just grew. In 2024, it's likely to hit 1.9, not million, not billion, but trillion dollars. This is just nuts. 4 months ago, we were at 1.5 trillion. So that's a pretty significant growth. And if we keep this up, by 2029, we are going to be at $2.9 trillion. This is just too much. How are we ever going to pay this back? But before we get into that, I am at Vacation Village Resorts. It is in Kissimmee, Florida, just on a nice little trip here near Orlando, and I'm going to take a little walk here on the boardwalk. Really nice. Lots of natural Florida vegetation all around me. And some of you may ask, why does it matter how much deficit we have? What's so important about that? You know, I think the bottom line is that someone's going to have to pay that back, or it's going to escalate into a problem that we don't want to get into. And I'm talking about World War III. Nobody wants to get into that. No nation is supporting that right now. So I know that it's kind of looking like we might get into that, but really it's about money. That's really what it all comes down to. When we impose sanctions on other countries and tariffs and taxes on imports and exports, all we're doing is that we're punishing them financially, and we're trying to strong arm them into doing something that we want them to do. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just stating the facts. It is what it is. But the national debt is looking pretty gloomy for the near future. And it's not just that. Let me give you my 2 cents on what I think might need to happen in order for the deficit to go a little bit more under control. Really, I'm going to present to you, I think, the most likely scenario. And you know, it does affect you with real estate. It does affect with your spending. It affects you in many ways. So all I want you to do is comment and let me know where I might be wrong and where I might be right. I really just want to see people's feedback that might have a little bit more information and knowledge about this possible scenario. So when it comes to dealing with such a large deficit, one of the easiest ways to pay back money is to pay it back with future less valued money. Simple. Let me explain it like this. If we just have a bunch of inflation, right? Let's just say for the next 10 years, we have a very large inflation rate, more than the average, way more than the average. Well, in the future, you know, $100 is going to actually buy you less than $100 today. But if you borrow $100 today, then you'll be able to pay back with a less valued $100 in the future plus interest. You know, interest might be 3-4%, whatever. So I look at it with mortgages. I have mortgages on some of my properties, and with those mortgages, when I'm going to be paying those back in the future, they're going to be with lower valued dollars. And I like that because rents tend to go up because of inflation, right? So it's a good strategy by taking a loan out. You end up getting money in the future that is worth less, and you're paying back old money that is worth more, but at the low rate. So it's a good strategy. And if we tackle the debt crisis in America with this kind of approach, then this might actually turn out really good for America. But how does it affect you with your home purchasing situation? Well, think about it like this. If inflation keeps going, are the prices going to come down? The short answer is no. The more detailed answer is maybe, you know. proportionally, relatively. So the prices necessarily won't come down, but if they stay in the same place where they're at right now, a median home in America is about $400,000. Median home in my area, Sarasota, Florida, is about $500,000. If that $500,000 stays the same because of supply and demand, the value of the dollar keeps going down, then great. Then even though you're buying the home for the same price and it hasn't appreciated, it has actually depreciated. It's actually gone down in value because your future money is worth more than today's money, or it's worth less, I should say, than today's money. Should you buy then? Should you buy real estate now or not? And if this happens, which would be a strategy to get out of the national debt. There's a second half to what I'm about to say though. If this happens, well then you're better off buying a house now and paying it off in the future with lower valued dollars, right? But now let's talk about the actual debt. So in order to pay off the debt, sure, we can go and cause inflation deliberately for a while. They would never reveal that, by the way. The government would never actually admit to that. But they could do that. But then in the future, they actually have to put their spending under control. Really, the only thing that needs to be under control is the ratio, the proportion, the difference between the spending and the earning, right? That's really the problem, is that it's not about the actual dollars amount. It's about the proportions of how much money they come in compared to how much money goes out, and that will raise or lower the GDP. And is it possible to lower the GDP by spending less? Absolutely. This is actually a different strategy that could happen, but that way is a little bit about, kind of like getting rich by saving. Do you know anybody who got rich by saving money, by just putting money away in a savings account without investing anything? I don't know anyone who made $1 million by saving it, I know a lot of people. I mean, probably a couple hundred people that are millionaires by investing. So I don't think that putting money away and saving it is a good idea to get out of the national debt. Basically all that means is spending less and paying it off as we keep going, because we'd have to be at a significant surplus in order to do that. But we are running the country on a major deficit. This has been the strategy from day one. So now let's get into how this negatively affects us. We are already seeing it. We're already feeling poor. Nobody here is feeling rich. Even the rich are feeling not so rich, and maybe not poor just yet. But we just recently heard that Whole Foods, which is kind of like the place that everyone goes to, that's, feeling well off, right? Like, I may be in an okay financial position, but I'm not shopping anything at Whole Foods, literally not a single thing. I value my money way too much to buy the same thing at a different place, at a prestigious place for more money. That's just dumb. But I understand that you may value the organic component more than I do, although you're usually not getting organic when you think you are. But now Whole Foods announced that they are going to be slashing the prices because apparently their numbers have come in and they're not looking too good. There's a lot more people running away from Whole Foods and places like Trader Joe's and places like Lucky's, all the prestigious food markets. They're going away from that and they're going to just regular grocery stores like Aldi and Walmart. And I know that a lot of people have gone there because you can just look at the Walmart stock price. Obviously, Walmart sells more than just food, but when you want to save a buck or two, you go to Walmart. And their stock price just keeps going up and up and up. If you look at the chart, they've had a huge run up. Today it's right around $68 as their stock price. And it's expected to hit right around $80 by the end of 2024 and $120 by the end of 2025. So think about it. Why would that happen? Well, very easy. There's only one reason, is because they're selling more. They're taking a larger share of the market, of the food buying and all the supplies market. And it's true, no one goes to Publix to buy a mop right? No one goes to Publix to buy, just standard General Mills items. If you're gonna buy that stuff, why don't you just save a bunch of money and buy it at Publix? I mean, buy it at Walmart. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever why you would buy it directly from a more expensive competitor. And speaking of Whole Foods, you know what Whole Foods is saying? This is interesting. I also want to get your opinion on this. They're saying that AI, artificial intelligence, is going to completely disrupt the market of grocery stores. Now, let's think about this. Here's one way that I think will be disrupted. It's already starting to get disrupted, and that would be the cashiers being gone, basically. You know, this is happening at Walmart right now, where I live in Sarasota. When I go there, there might be one person working in the whole self-checkout section, and then one additional person checking people out in regular aisles, right? So in one regular aisle, I should say, and then there's like a dozen aisles that are empty. I've already seen that also in Bank of America, for example. When I go to Bank of America, which I hate going to Bank of America, but I do have one account there. When I go there, there's like nobody working there. There's more people greeting me at the door than there are actually tellers helping and, helping people, helping actual customers trying to get help, right? So I don't know what the hell is going on, but I do know that one of the big first things that's going to change is going to be the whole checkout process. Now, when I was in college and I graduated in the year 2000, I studied business marketing. And one of the things that they had talked about was going into a economy where we just walk out the door and it scans everything we have. It's really interesting. Now, this is called walk-out technology. I mean, go figure, who the hell invented that one? But I can see that as every item basically has its own little QR code, and it automatically gets scanned, and you automatically get charged, and you automatically can go and bag it yourself and do everything. Now, you're not gonna get a discount on those groceries, although I think you should. I mean, if we're gonna be paying for a staff member to be bagging our stuff, why don't we pay less when they're not there? In fact, we're actually paying more. So total ripoff, if you ask me. But then let's kind of add a little bit more AI to the game. We already have facial recognition, all right? This is already happening. It's everywhere you go. I mean, literally, you walk into a bank and your face is probably being scanned by some machine trying to figure out who the heck you are, and making sure they can match back with you being a client, right? Well, I think that this database will become a nationally licensed product where it'll be super cheap to basically prevent theft and prevent any kind of crimes by having, green light, yellow light, and red light people. If you walk into the store and a camera picks you up, and I know it does at Walmart, I mean, it freaking dings every time you walk by the damn camera. So as soon as you walk into the store, 3, 4, 5 cameras pick you up. And then they go take a photo, match you back to the database, and then they see, oops, this guy is a problem. He has stolen one time before from a store from, a different state, maybe a different store, maybe not a Walmart, because it's a shared database that, you license out. And I know that this can become a fully automated, licensable activity where you kind of don't have to worry about who walks into your store. You just know that whoever does walk into your store is already identified. And that identification might need to, be linked with a whole bunch of databases that are currently out there. But I think over 1 to 2 years of building it out deliberately, I think this could become a huge, huge asset for theft prevention. But does that mean that prices will come down if we have less theft? I hate to say it, but probably not. But maybe, right? Maybe, because I know that loss prevention is a division of almost every single company out there, but that doesn't mean that it's actually going to be passed down to you. It might just pad the profits of those companies themselves. Now, if you made it this far into the video, what I'm basically suggesting, and I'm not saying that I stand fully behind this because I have a lot of moral problems with this, but just to finish the thought, right? If you go and you implement something like this, you're basically promoting like a new world order, right? That's kind of what it would end up being, where some central brain computer knows everything that's going on, everyone who's in and out, they know everything about everything. And like I said, I'm not sure that's the best solution, but it is a solution, and I know that eventually with that kind of society, it could lead to something that you see on like Star Trek Next Generation or something. People are living aboard a spaceship or a place, right? And they're just doing their job, and they have a social life and all of that, but it probably will prevent the kind of stuff we got going on now, the freedom that we have now. And I value that freedom, man. I value it so much. So like I said, I'm not fully behind this solution, but it's a solution, isn't it? So how else could we use AI? How could the grocery stores use AI to help their business? Because the Whole Foods CEO is thinking is going to revolutionize everything within the next 10 years. And quite frankly, I'm not seeing anything good. All I'm seeing is less jobs because they're going to be able to track us people a little bit more. Then I see less theft because they're going to use facial recognition to figure out who's walking in and out of the store, what car they drove, what's their license plate, and kind of just figure out everything, so that to have more loss prevention measures. But do you think they're going to actually lower the prices for us? The answer is a very fast hell no. They're not going to do that. So I don't really believe that they're going to do anything good with AI that's going to benefit me and you, the end user, the end consumer. I mean, sure, they can track the cars coming in and out and maybe get anyone who's on a wanted list arrested right there on the spot, and maybe prevent more crimes in the future. Maybe they can, pad their bottom line a little bit better, but it's not going to help me and you. They just need to figure out how to get this inflation under control. But that's going to go against paying down the national debt, which is where this whole video started. Paying down the national debt is definitely 100% going to be a problem in the very near future, and I'm not really sure how they're going to be able to control that one. So the only thing, like I said, is maybe just cause inflation to go up to pay off the national debt, which is rising and rising and rising. So let's bring this back a little bit to all of our credit card debts, all of our home debts, and all of our car debts. Of course, there's also home equity lines of credit. There's so many problems that we have right now, financial problems that we have. So let's talk about how this whole national debt component can actually help us. How can it help us? Because we are suffering. The people are suffering. They do not have the jobs they want. Real estate agents have no idea what the heck they're doing with this whole new buyer agency compensation lawsuit. Mortgage loans are down significantly. So what we really need to focus on is the good news. So let's talk about some good news. So the good news is that in the future, we will be paying down our debt with cheaper money. That's great news. So should you actually pay down a mortgage right now? No, you shouldn't. Even if you're at 7% interest rates, no, you shouldn't. It seems that the longer you can delay paying off your mortgage, I don't mean your minimum monthly payments, I mean the extra payments. It seems like the longer you can delay that, the better you'll be getting of a deal, right? The better discount you'll get, because your future money will be worth less than today's money. That's pretty much like guaranteed, because inflation has never really backtracked. It's just year after year, decade after decade, it has gone in the direction to basically make us feel poor, okay? And that just means that our money buys us less every single year. But eventually things happen, things change, and we get paid, right? We get salary increases, and that future salary increase is going to be able to pay down your debt faster, because 10% of future money is better than 10% of today's money.